Jai Ma. Bhakta A, Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace. We are all one. One being, one light. No one, no thing, nobody. Only love. Om Ma Shri. Va Ma Kali. Om Shri. Om Shri. Om Shri. Om Ma 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 Jai Ma. Om Ma Jai Ma. Om Ma Jai Ma. Om Ma Jai Ma Va Ma. Bhakta A, Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace. We are all one. Jai Mata Kali, Jai Mata Durga. Om Ma Shri. Kamasatayo Sikurotoya Ka. Bhakta A, Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace. We are all one. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome to the live cast. Wonderful to see you all. Thanks for joining this Navrātri celebration of this divine feminine expression, energy, goddess. This presence, this loving Tao, the great goddess, Kali, is present all the time. I'm not the first one to remark on this feeling of a holy guardian angel, or the presence, some people call it with a capital P. The presence of God, the presence of a divine intelligence. A universe, living, intelligent, breathing, dynamic. All sorts of beings in so many dimensions. The planets, the stars, the solar systems. So many different types of life here on Earth. Praying mantis. A story comes up. I was in India and I was in a super meditative mood. It's not always the case. I was doing a panchakarma, it's like a Ayurvedic cleanse, cleaning the senses so the prana, the divine intelligence, can heal and invigorate the body. That's the Western caduceus, the symbol for the divine intelligence. That's the healer. We can also say that's the goddess. Prana Shakti. Kundalini Shakti, the ultimate shaman, the ultimate biohack, the presence, the loving Tao. So I was in this meditative zone, and there was a beautiful restaurant area overlooking the cliff, and just beautiful, beautiful skyline of Kerala. South India, so lush, beautiful. We're in a hill station, that's what they call them. And as I looked over the veranda and over the sprawling green hills of Kerala, I fell into a deep meditative state of no mind. It wasn't because I'd been doing some exercises. No, it just happened upon me. We can say that my sadhana is my exercise, and of course, it has a no mind feature to it. But it's not a goal, and it's not something I'm actively trying to make happen. It just sometimes comes upon, no mind. So there I was, no mind, in the hill station in Kerala, India, feeling like so relaxed and calm, like unusually relaxed. And at some moment, I just spontaneously looked to my right, opened my eyes were closed. And what do I see next to me? There was like a little railing. Well, you probably guessed by now, a praying mantis. Yeah, the insect, the praying mantis. Like, wow, I've never seen one before. I mean, you know, I've seen pictures of one. I've heard of mantis beings. I have some friends who are in communication with them, the insectoids. But a praying mantis live, not just my first one I've ever seen in my life, live, but while I'm meditating. Have you seen the praying mantis? They just sit praying and they don't move for hours. They don't move unless they have to move. And otherwise they're in deep prayer. They say that if you slow down the chirping of, or whatever that you call that noise of crickets, which are related in the same big family, you hear mantra. There's something deeply yogic about these insects. So imagine the synchronicity, you know. Did you ever hear Carl Gustav Jung, Swiss psychiatrist, protege of Freud, broke away? Well, his big breakthrough was when there was a scarab outside the window. I don't know if you know that story. I won't go into it. You can look it up. But it was a similar thing. What are the odds of my first praying mantis ever, while I'm on this like breakthrough, unusual meditative state, literally meditating, and suddenly there's the mantis. Wow. I don't know what to do. The wonder of the universe. The mystery, the joy, the synchronicity. How can one even call this a synchronicity? That's what Jung coined the phrase. A meaningful coincidence. Yeah, that doesn't really do it justice. It doesn't do it justice. What can we say about a universe, a Tao, a life, a sadhana that could produce such miracle? What else can one call this? Coincidence? No. Synchronicity? No. Miraculous? Getting closer. Getting closer. How to even explain such a thing? Well, one cannot explain a miracle. But I have my perspective and my point of view, based on my experience and my feeling of the subjects. Is that the universe in harmony, mirroring, dancing, shimmering, playing, playful, loving intelligence. It's not just the void. You know, some religious and spiritual traditions have a goal of being the void, being completely empty, emptiness. I like the empty part. That really resonates with all the programming, the justifications, the distorted memories, the fears, the desires, all that stuff, the massive amounts of information. To be empty, nice. But just the void emptiness, it's missing something, no? In In yogic philosophy, we say there is the ground of awareness, which we could analogize to the void. We'd say that's the Shiva energy or the masculine energy. And there's Shakti, the dynamic, loving energy. Both two sides of the same coin, closer than close. Same. There's a representation, or that's the wrong word. There's a being who is half Shiva, half Shakti. Maybe you've seen the representation on the internet or in a book. And that really sums it up. You cannot have one without the other. It's two sides of the same coin. It is all that masculine and feminine united, the void and the love combined. So my shorthand for that is the loving Tao. These Taoist masters, they were onto a lot. Lao Tzu, Wu Wei, effortless action, uncarved wood. There's so much wisdom to be gained, and it so much reflects the sadhana. Cross-cultural perspectives on yogic sadhana. So yeah, the loving Tao, it has a quality to me, like a visceral, nurturing, gentle quality in the ether even. It's not that I'm just here in space, cold space. No, since Kundalini woke up, since the Great Mother blessed this journey, her journey, blessed herself, however you want to look at that, I have felt this tangible presence of love in and around my being. The loving Tao, Mother's grace. So the Taoist masters, they wanted to become empty so they could just be natural without all the overthinking and the analysis, the dramas and traumas. Just natural human being. So much to learn from that. I feel so related to that strain. Sometimes Kundalini taking a hold of this body, and Tim in surrender stage will do a Qigong or Tai Chi, like in the Matrix. I know life imitating art, or which is art and which is life. It's hard to say, but I know Kung Fu. It was always my favorite line from the Matrix 1. But there it happens, yes. If the moons and the stars and I don't know what variables come into play, then some kind of martial art dance manifests in the body with intricate movements and styles. A Qigong master once observed this movement over here and was saying, yeah, it's like that. So maybe these Taoist masters, these Qigong martial arts masters, they were empty. And then the presence, the Holy Spirit, Ma, came upon them, and out came Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, all these beautiful expressions. But the emptiness cultivated grace. That's the way I feel it. Emptiness itself is not the goal. You cannot quiet the mind, actually. It's unquietable. It doesn't react well to force and to suppression. Isn't that your experience? But the mind will quiet on its own. Yes. Through the grace of Kundalini Shakti, and this Kundalini awakening naturally leads to a quieter mind and extended periods of no mind, and for some, the mind snuffs out like a candle. You have a mind, you can use it when it's called for, but there's no more chatterless mind. That's what those Taoists were after, no? To quiet the chattering of the mind and to live in harmony and peace and be relaxed and healthy and long-lived. There were some very long-lived Taoist masters while you're so relaxed in harmony with nature, doing Qigong on a mountaintop, having wonderful Chinese herbs maybe. Yeah, and they're Taoist immortals. There are 8 Taoist immortals. Maybe more, I don't know, but 8 the Taoists recognize. I had some experience with these 8 immortals. Yeah, that's a nice story. I've felt their presence before. So the love part, the loving Tao, knowing that the universe has got your back, knowing that there's a divine order, knowing that all is grace and all is love, and you are grace and love. You need not do anything to be grace and love. It's what you are inherently. In yogic philosophy, they say Shiva with amnesia. Yeah, it's something like that. Something like that. So in these meditations, spontaneous mudra, who knows what it means, doesn't matter. It's quite beautiful. Shiva with amnesia. And the outcome, benefit, the expression, the grace of these transmissions, of these meditations, is to remember who you are, to remember who you are, to remember yourself as grace, to remember yourself as love. How this works, it's not for the linear mind to figure out. This is the path of the heart, the path of surrender, the loving Tao. So sometimes the loving Tao would like to speak, and sometimes the loving Tao would like to sing, and sometimes the loving Tao would just like to be silent, and other times the loving Tao would like to dance. And if we just cultivate a little holding back, a little relaxedness, not having to do and fill the space all the time with words or actions, then we can cultivate this grace, this loving Tao, and see how it manifests. Try to get out of the way of the loving Tao. And the more we practice, the ancient Taoist masters call this Wu Wei. There are many translations, but I would say only take inspired action from the divine intelligence, and relax into that action, and just noticing where you try to manipulate anything, and just allow action to come through you spontaneously. And before that, one can act from an intuitive, inspired place. Will eventually lead to spontaneity, or more spontaneity. And you can feel when something is forced and when something is not forced. You can feel when something is not quite there, and when something is just so effortless. So another way to look at Wu Wei was effortless action. Effortless. So if something requires just too much effort, something off there. But we know that the most wonderful occurrences can happen effortlessly. And we just give a little room for that. You see, the whole society is geared towards effort and will, including spirituality, including yoga, including everything, the matrix of the will. You can see the results in yourself and others in the world, in the society and the cultures. And, I'm not asking you to be in a belief system, but I am asking you to be empirical before science got such a controversial and bad name recently. We can say empiricism is the foundation of science, or was. So you just try right now in this meditation. So these meditations are like a little laboratory. And let's just give some space to Grace, to the loving Tao, to Ma, to Kali, to manifest as she wants to manifest. Whatever that feels and seems like. Who knows what might happen? And imagine just letting that go. I don't care who sees what happens as I let go more and more into the loving Tao. No one, no thing, nobody, only grace. Om Ma Je Je Je. Om Ma Je Ma. Om Ma Je Ma. Om Ma Je Ma Om. Kamasatayo Sikarokoya Kika. Bhavatu Kamawada Sabakta. Om Shakti Ma. Kamadevi. Om Shri Ma. Om Shri Ma. Om Shri Ma. Om Shri Ma. Om Ma Je Ma Vama Bhakta Om Shakti Ma. This is our natural state. Open, receptive, in feeling and in communication with the rest of creation. Freed from the trance of thoughts, the tyranny of the mind. Relaxing into the loving Tao, the loving presence, the love that you are. The more one can do that, allow that. It's hard not to use the terminology of will, huh? The more one can allow that, the more one can relax into that, the more it takes hold of you. The more it takes hold of you. But when we're so busy controlling and manipulating and desiring and avoiding and projecting, there's not much room for the loving Tao to express itself. There is just a joy and allowing this expression to express a fulfillment all its own, just by being available and feeling what is being expressed. What changes are happening at a biochemical, psychological, physiological, spiritual level when one surrenders into the loving Tao, into Ma's grace? How is the human being biocellular structure influenced by such states of consciousness? Have you seen the glow of saints? Have you read about the glow of saints? It's hard to find a real saint nowadays. We've seen in paintings this glow represented. In Christian iconography. Is this glow only for John the Baptist? Or is this glow inherent to our human beingness, only needs to be surrendered into or uncovered or remembered, remembrance of the divine light? You are love. You are grace. You are the one. One being, all in. Om Ma Jema Om. Om Ma Jema. Jai Ma Kali. Om Vama Kali. Vama Vama Kali. Om Ma Jai Ma Shri Ma. Bhakta A. Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace. There is only love. Love is who and what we are. It is also an emotion. And we are that. That is the true nature of reality. Love. Everything you think of, everything you see, everything you've read about, everything you are, it's all love. It's all love. The same love that you feel in your heart. The same love that swells up inside you. The same love that causes you to tear is the love that you are. This is your own very sweet self, your true nature. It cannot be cognized. It can only be felt and experienced. Om Ma Jai Ma Om. Jai Ma Om. Kama Satayo Sikarotoya Ka Bhakta Kama Devi Vama Om. Om Shakti Om. There is only grace. Om Jai. These videos, these meditations, this Navrātri celebration is an offering to you. Is an offering to you to act as a bridge or a stimulus, something like that, a remembrance of who and what you are, beyond the personality complex, beyond the memories, beyond the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations, and the fears. Your true essence, your true essence, your true essence, your true essence. Your true essence is love. Oma Jai Ma Vama. Bhakta Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace. We are all one. One being, one light. Om Ashri. Bhavatu Kamawa Dasa Bhakta. Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary. Oma Jai Ma. Oma Jai Ma. Oma Jai Ma. Oma Jai Ma. Kama Devi. Kama Devi. Kama Devi. Oma Jai Jai Jai. Oma Jai Jai Jai. Oma Jai Ma Om. Oma Jai Jai Jai. Oma Jai Ma, Oma Jai Ma, Oma Jai Ma. The yogis were onto a similar feeling as the Taoists. They called the state that the Taoists were attempting to describe as sahaja, sahaja samadhi. So there are different stages of samadhi. Doesn't really matter. What matters is that the progression is in quieting the mind. So let's say in my experience with samadhi, the first thing that happens is the breath stops. We can say that's the gateway to samadhi, is the breath. So yogi's been onto this too. There are many schools of yoga who practice kumbhaka, that's the cessation of the breath, pranayama techniques. But in this style of yoga, it just happens upon us. So the breath stops and the mind follows. And then there are different stages of that. So I've been in a breathless state for quite some time, minutes, many minutes, who knows, but a long time. And as it continues, the thoughts crawling, finally into no mind. If you read Patanjali and the Patanjali Sutras, my neighbor has an amazing motorcycle, which you're hearing every morning. Really tricked out and cool, and makes a loud sound as it drives by. Keeping it real. People tell me, you need to ground into this reality. I said, okay. They say, back here in reality. I said, okay. So the yogis, samadhi, kumbhak, no mind. And in Patanjali's yoga, this was the highest state. So what's been passed down and the cultural ramifications and implications and etc. philosophies made this no mind state, which is like the Buddhist void state or the Taoist void state, the highest state of consciousness. In the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, cessation of the mind, that's the goal of yoga. Pretty flat out. But this doesn't feel intuitively or experientially all there is to me. I'm not the first to remark on that. But there's another state beyond the void or no mind, and that is sahaja. Sahaja is the natural state. Sahaja means natural. Natural samadhi. What is a natural samadhi? Well, that's what we've been sharing about. It's letting the divine intelligence, the loving Tao, Ma, the divine light, shine forth and completely animate you. When we say, let my will be thy will, something like that, right? That's what's happening. It's the divine will illuminating the human being with no distortion. So, no mind and samadhi seem like a meditative, transcendental, aesthetic practice. And that's because it largely is. Where sahaja, you're in the world. You're fully functioning in the world as a divine beacon, as a beacon of light within the world. Both of the world and not of the world. Beyond the world. Connected to the divine tapestry and the divine light. But very much in reality. And that's sahaja. These meditations are, we can say, our practice, if one can use such a loaded term, for entering sahaja. To become Shiva, to lose our amnesia. It's not enough to say, I am Shiva, or I am God, or I am powerful, or stop playing it small, they say in New Age. Who's playing what? A lot of it is just happy ego talk. But sahaja is not. Sahaja is the pure light natural state of divine spontaneity. Then you may know yourself as God, as the Tao, as the divine intelligence, as the one light. But before then, it's a lot of supposition and projection and wishful thinking and fantasy. One can have glimpses, but to be in this state for extended periods of time, that's pretty amazing. So it's happened over here in this journey, Ma's journey over here. I've watched my body do incredible things that I'm not willfully doing at all. I'm just trying my best to stay out of the way and relax. The body naturally wants to heal, wants to dance, wants to sing, wants to run. Several times this body was running unbelievably dangerous areas with not a care in the world. It knew exactly what to do, where to put the feet, how not to twist the ankle, which rocks would slide, which not. Like, have you seen like a huge gully created by the rain? This is in Sedona. Love to all the fellow Ma devotees in Sedona. Wow. So in Sedona, in one of these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful vortices, there was Sahaja running down the mountain effortlessly. I would have no idea where to put all my feet, to make sure that I didn't hurt myself, or the most efficient way. No, the body, the brain, the divine intelligence was doing it automatically. And I didn't need my mind to tell it what to do. It would actually only slow things down. It's pretty amazing. I really want to convey this. I was wearing Vibram 5 fingers, which, if you know, are those shoes with no support. They just protect your bottom of your feet from the ground, from the sharp rocks or sticks or whatever. And then there's no ankle support, there's no padding, or very minimalist padding, to allow your whole foot to move naturally. So the foot can move all sorts of different ways. It's amazingly designed by the divine intelligence. But in our sneakers, not so much. And that affects the whole body. So these Vibram 5 fingers are a nice way to move back to a more natural state and still not hurt yourself on the concrete or on the rocks. So imagine running with those things down a gully, like, I don't know what they call them, but there are people who like bounce off buildings and like jump over things, and you see them like in Paris or something like that. There was a James Bond movie where someone was doing that too. It wasn't like that, but it was in the family of that. Like the body was bouncing off sides, balanced perfectly, ran down the whole mountain, no injuries whatsoever, complete elation, meditative state the whole time, and complete effortless action. The action was just happening through in the most perfect, exquisite way, and I was the enjoyer of this Sahaja state. What a blessing, huh? What a blessing. Yeah. Who knows what these bodies, these spirits are capable of? Who knows what Ma is capable of, the loving Tao? Every day a new mystery, a new uncovering, a new revelation, a new level of relaxedness, a new download, new connections made, connections rediscovered and remade. Om Ma Jai Ma Lama, Bhakta A Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace, we are all one being, one light, always and forever, never born and never died. I am. I am the divine light. I am the loving Tao. I am. I am Ma Jai Ma Om. I am Ma Om Jai Ma. In this empty state, in the state of love and receptivity, one may make contact with the Divine Mother herself, Kali, also Durga, also Uma, Parvati, all the forms, Kuan Yin. And when one makes the contact with your own sacred heart, the Divine Feminine, the Divine Mother, within and without, so much love is felt. Peace, stillness, and love. The point is not to still the mind. If there's a point, it's to remember yourself as love. And naturally, when you do remember yourself as love, the mind begins to quiet. Your operating system shifts. All one need do. The language of will is so hard. All one need is to touch this love, have this love touch you, commune with this love. Even once, for a moment. And this can be deeply, deeply transformative. I've seen so much of that. So much of this radical transformation by communing with this divine love, this divine intelligence, the divine mother, the one true light. Everything else you can do pales in comparison. Yes, strong words. But no amount of, I don't know, the most amazing supplements, or how cold you make that ice bath, or how much asana you practice willfully, can have the deep, total transformation effect of contact with this divine love. It is rejuvenating. It is resurrecting. It is refreshing. It is healing. And so much more, so much more. Your reality shifts. It's hard to put numbers on dimensions and things, but we can say you're in a more love-based reality, love dimension, still within the confines of 3D, but your operating system is not. You are not of this world, of this three-dimensional world. You are here, you are also of it, but you are not bound by it. Your operating system is much more vast and mysterious and loving than the, let's say, default reality that the Matrix supports. How can we affect change in this world, especially from the stance of non-doership, of Wu Wei? By making contact with this divine love, our essence, our true nature, internally. As the world becomes more and more chaotic and absurd, millions of people are turning inward. The more absurd, ridiculous the external world gets, it has the effect of turning people inward. And when they do turn inward, at some point in their journey, their soul's journey, this life, another life, they will touch the divine love. They will touch the divine love. But first it takes the focus to go inward. This is often known as the dark night of the soul, when the external world loses its flavor, its rasa, its juice, its attraction. And naturally, all that energy and awareness that was targeted outward turns inward. We can say prana shakti, if you want to look at it that way. So we're spending prana outwardly, doing whatever outwardly. And at a certain point, due to grace, due to circumstances well beyond anything we might be able to control. This prana turns inward. This is the ultimate pranayama. As long as your attention is outward, pranayama is not so effective, especially if it's not spontaneous. But when your attention is turned inward as your default state, and the prana is flowing inward, then there's pranayama happening all the time. The need for vigorous pranayama with your will suddenly seems not so relevant. Prana flows as long as you're alive in this body. There's prana flowing all the time. The question is whether it's flowing outward or flowing back in. So now we're back to the toroidal field. The flow of prana in also can stimulate or lay the groundwork for, or dance with, or resurrect Kundalini. So the Taoist masters didn't talk about Kundalini. Maybe they did and we just don't have the manuscripts, the records. But the yogis, they were on to Kundalini. And the Kundalini is the secret sauce to raise you from the dead, to raise you from the block of ice, closed, separated, fearful. And the Kundalini itself starts to melt the ego and everything that supports the ego, the memories, everything that supports you as your separate sense of self, alone in this world, just you and your willpower. The underlying scaffolding of this starts to dissolve. For some people, this is a nightmare. They don't want to lose their personality. They kind of like their personality. They just wish it wasn't so troublesome. But they have an affection for their personality. I don't think one has to worry about completely losing your individuality or personality. Everyone has their own flavor, their own karma, we could look at it that way, their own frequency. You can transform so many times, but there's a essence that seems to remain the same. Oma Jema Kalima Om Kalima Oma Shrima Vama Bhakta Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace, we are all one. Om Shri Bhakta Om Shakti Ma. Om Jai Ma Kali Kali Ma Om Cream Kali Om Cream Kali Om Cream Kali Om Cream Kali. Are you ready for this radical transformation? Do you want to know? Do you want to experience? Are you called to find out what this human potential is? Do you want to know our inherent capacities and potentialities? Do you want to live in love? Do you want to live in joy? Do you want to live? Because a life without love and joy, unconditional love and joy, can we say that's living? Or are we just asleep? Asleep and dreaming. Dreaming entranced by thoughts. Or can we transform? Can the great goddess, can Sri Kundalini transform us into our love essence embodied? It's not some impossible fantasy. Masters from many traditions have reported and written about such states and such beings. People recover from stage 4 cancer to live a happy and full life. There's always the chance for resurrection, to awaken from the trance of thoughts and from the matrix, the societal conditioning and programming, to awaken from all that, like Gulliver in Gulliver's Travels, tied down by the Lilliputians, and wake into our greatness as human beings, perhaps even to the next stage of evolution, human luminos, a lighter state of being. It has been described and shown to me in visions, this potentiality, this possibility of evolving from human being to human luminos. At the cellular level, at all levels, to embody fully this love and light. Kali, Kundalini Shakti, is the agent of the transformation from human being to human luminos. Many guides may come to assist you in this journey from all sorts of traditions. In my feeling, Kali sends she's like the mistress of ceremony, like a circus, circus of consciousness. And she'll send just the perfect frequency being, God, Goddess, Master, for that stage of your sadhana. And sometimes she sends many and they're all singing and dancing. But in my feeling, they're all still Kali, the mistress of ceremony, the great goddess herself. I had this demonstrated for me by Kali. It's a funny story. I was meditating and I felt the presence of Saraswati. And I was like, wow, I hadn't felt Saraswati before. I felt so honored and blessed. I must be becoming more sattvic for Saraswati to come. And I was so, the newness and the freshness of this frequency, Saraswati Ma, I was enamored. And sometime later I felt Kali's presence, also more like in the background. And my mind was thinking, Kali, just a minute. I'm busy with Saraswati. I'm enjoying this so much. Like attachment developed like that. And then, like a science fiction movie, it dissolved and Saraswati is Kali, of course. I fell for it. So I can enjoy all these different, we can say, subtle beings, knowing that they're all the one, which I experience as Kali. You can call it Krishna, you can call it Padmasambhava, you can call it Radha, but to me it's all one, it's all Kali. It's all Kali. And when one lives from this heart-centered awareness, from the loving Tao, all these beings celebrate your journey and your embodiment and your moving into lighter states. Celebrating, yes. Feeling the joy of Krishna, of your transformation. Feeling the love, feeling it all. This divine intelligence, this love, Sri Shakti, would like to move you into a heart-centered awareness, a heart-centered life, a heart-centered expression, one in love, by love, and for love. In love, by love, and for love. Oma Jema Oma Jema Vama Bhakta A Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace. We are all one. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Om. 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 Oma Jai Jai Ma. Oma Jai Ma Shri Ma. Oma Jai Ma Shri Ma. Oma Jai Ma Shri Ma. Oma. Oma Jai Ma. Oma Jai Ma Shri Ma. Bhakta A Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace. We are all one. Oma. Oma. Thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream. And it's also being recorded. So you can watch it again later, or for those of you who missed the live, you can watch it on recording. And the transmission effect is the same. You can even watch it many times. It doesn't matter so much what's being conveyed verbally. There are much more subtle forces at play. And just by having this video on and interacting with it however way you feel, this transmission occurs. Broadcasting mother's love. Broadcasting mother's love. You can always write me, and if there are questions that arise for you or experiences that you'd like to share related to this meditation or these meditations or this path, if you'd just like to have a good chat with someone who might be able to relate. If you're here in Bali, you can find me on the nearest dance floor. You can also come to our ashram in Ubud. And I'm always overjoyed to celebrate with fellow Ma devotees. Om Jai Ma Vama, Bhakta Om Shakti Ma, Hail Mary, full of grace, we are all one. Om Shri, Om Shri, Om Shri. Thanks for joining. See you tomorrow.